So you're the founder and the director of Biophilia Records. Did I say that right? Is that your official title? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, I think in some ways it feels like it's only getting started, but in other ways it's really established. Biophilia has really established itself as a label on the level of pretty much all the other labels that are putting out music right now. And what to me is so cool about it is it doesn't just have you're not just putting out really great music and bringing together some of the coolest kind of like most diverse, most interesting artists that are playing music today, but you have a real mission. So tell us a little bit about Biophilia, how it started. I think for a lot of these kind of projects, there's usually like one or two, kind of flashpoints, like where the fire really started for you to like, okay, I need to do something. I have to do this. So what was that for you? What's Biophilia about?
Well, the term biophilia, I feel I should define that first. I learned of that term reading E.O. Wilson's books. He wrote one called Biophilia. Biophilia means an innate love that human beings have towards living things, which explains why, like in New York City, people pay insane amounts of money to live next to Central Park. There's just something about being near nature that makes us feel good. I've always had that. I didn't realize it was a thing till I read that book, but my whole life I've been attracted to nature, and I've also felt very passionate about climate change, sustainability, environmentalism. We're going through the sixth mass extinction. We are going through the sixth mass extinction right now. I need some vocal coaching there. Yeah, and that's tragic to me. Needless to say, we need to take care of living things on this planet. And yeah, I've always cared deeply about that. I wondered earlier on in my life if I wanted to go down the path of a biologist or a musician. And at some point I realized that as much as I love science, it was missing this sort of emotional component that I just couldn't live without. I need music as an outlet. So yeah, I was always kind of craving nature and science and biology. And it wasn't until I did a tour through the West Coast where we went through Seattle and San Diego, both of which have incredible zoos that are doing a lot of conservation work. And at the Seattle Zoo, Herbie Hancock was playing a concert. And that was the moment where I realized, wait, hold on. These two worlds can coexist. There's no reason why they don't have to. Then I started reflecting on my own childhood and the fact that I was a Hispanic, I'm a Cuban male growing up in Florida. I felt kind of alienated because I cared about classical music, jazz, and nature. It just didn't feel like there were a lot of people quite like me. So originally I wanted to start just some sort of organization that would commission HUGs, which are historically underserved groups. But then, as the aforementioned trip happened, I went to South Africa, and after learning about Nelson Mandela, I realized that what I wanted to do was to bring people together, so I opened it up for everyone. And on the theme of museums, I began going to the Museum of Natural History, where I met Michael J. Foster. Sadly, he's passed away since then, but he really educated me on how environmentalism looks very different from community to community. For wealthier white people, for lack of a better word, it's more like the polar bears and the pandas, that sort of thing. But lower socioeconomic people, for them, it's a lot more impactful and immediate, where there's pollution in their water and the air quality is bad. So that really helped me see the whole spectrum of environmental injustice that's happening. Alongside all of that, I'm first and foremost a musician, and so many of my peers, including you, are great musicians, and I felt like the world needed to hear this music. Like we need it. We need that medicine that you guys are providing. So yeah, I put it all together. I tried to create a label from the point of view of the musician rather than the music business executives and all that stuff. So I really try to make sure that the artists get paid a lot sooner than they usually would on other labels. As far as the environmental component of it, or sort of sustainability philosophy, this actually, it all kind of came together when the day that David Bowie died. I know it sounds weird, but my wife and Linda and I had just come back from Australia, and I was completely jet lagged. I remember that day David Bowie died, and I was just in bed for 7 hours trying to sleep and couldn't sleep. And that was the moment where a lot of the ideas formulated. At that moment, I realized that I wanted to have something that was not a CD, but it was still a physical product, that the consumer that wants a physical thing can still have, and also benefit the artists so that they can sell merchandise and not feel bad about the plastic, the toll that plastic has on the environment. So out of that came the Biophilia, which is a paper origami piece of work. I think I have one somewhere I can show it. So yeah, that's an alternative to the CD. Another thing is that the musicians on the label should volunteer. We should be proactive in our communities. So pre-COVID, we would go out and volunteer for tree plantings, for river cleanups. A few times we would perform for school children for free, things like that. The last thing that we've done now is we created a commissioning series for writers and experts in the field, or just people in general that are at the forefront of fighting for environmental justice or social justice, civil rights. We commission a different writer every month. It's called Impacts. And so far we've had somebody from we've just had 2 works. We had somebody from Nairobi and somebody from the West Coast in the Colorado area, talking about different environmental things that are happening and how they relate to music or just on their own. Because I feel it's such an important, subject that we need to. We may be musicians and we may be artists, but climate change is something that impacts all of us here in the present and in the future. So yeah, I think it's. I can't imagine my life without fighting to have that conversation. To talk about climate change.
What are some of so musicians, artists that are maybe watching this that aren't part of the label? What are some of the things that they could do right now that would have a positive effect? I mean, some of the things you talked about, volunteering, but what does it mean to advocate for something like this or for this in a way that is authentic? I think it's something you've done really, really well. It doesn't feel like it's like a tacked on thing. It doesn't feel like it's that you're kind of doing this as just an angle or something to get more press or to make more money or something like that. So for you, obviously it's a very long-standing held belief, and it's something that you would do kind of regardless. But if you think about it, just people who need something that's I don't know. I think people care a lot about this. I hope, but but they don't really know where to start. It feels very overwhelming to them.
Just my goal is simple. It's just to get the dialogue going. Let's just talk about it at least. And it's been really fulfilling for me going to concerts where it's biophilia artists performing, and we have the biofolios at the merch table, and I've overheard people sitting at the audience talking about the label, and one person I overheard say that, you know, I'm gonna try to stop using plastic bags. I'll try to stop using straws, things like that, and that's great. I mean, I realize that one person not using plastic bags and straws is not going to make that much of a difference, but there has to be a social movement in order for the politicians to actually change the way that things are done. I attended a thing called the Climate Reality Conference in LA, which was hosted by Al Gore, and that's something that he spoke about. You know, as a politician, nothing will change unless the people are urging the politicians to change it. So I am not a scientist, I'm not a politician, I'm a musician, I'm an artist, and I feel like I can provide some sort of cultural fuel for a movement to spark, so that we have generations of young audiences that are listening to music that grow up with a label that has cool music. And it's also so natural to also, within the same picture, have environmentalism and sustainability be a part of it, and it's not such a foreign thing. It's there. So I just want people to talk about it so that there's no sort of negative stereotype about it. I'm really not attacking anyone. I'm not telling anyone they're a bad person. If you want to get vinyl, I'm not telling you not to. I'm just telling you how I feel, what I think, my moral compass. I don't want to have any regrets on my deathbed, and one of them would definitely be having the idea for Biophilia Records and not seeing it through. Just talk about it. Just have a conversation. You don't have to even agree, but just talk about it.
So I found myself from time to time wanting to be more outspoken or vocal about something I'm passionate about or have been thinking about, and understanding that there are going to be certain people in the audience that kind of like fundamentally disagree with me, or might even get angry, about kind of like what I'm saying. And it always feels so fickle. Like it seems so hard to build an audience anyhow. It seems like tricky to get people to open up, to music that is not like, that they haven't been hearing on the radio for 40 years. So have you ever felt any of that kind of like, has anybody ever expressed this to you, or have you ever felt any pressure to like kind of like, quote unquote, stick to what you know, or to kind of like just do what you do and not get into these other kind of things? And how have you dealt with that? And have you ever felt, and were you ever feeling any of those kind of like nervous pressure feelings about doing this important work or speaking out?
No, I'll speak about everything. I'm not perfect. If I say something offensive, that is offensive, I'll apologize. But if I'm just speaking my mind and expressing myself as an artist, that's my job. That's I have had people that have criticized things I've said on the mic stand, and I tell them why I said what I said. I don't play music to give an audience what it wants. I give them what they need. I don't, and what I feel they need. And if they don't like it, that's fine with me. I don't have any problems with the music that we play being esoteric. If that's what it is, that's what it is. I don't know. Life's too short to not do what makes you happy, and And honestly, that book that I spoke about, The Body Keeps the Score, really put things in perspective for me. Oftentimes I'd be on the train or something and somebody says, yo, fuck you. Like, you know, like, okay, they don't actually say it like that. I've never in New York have I been sitting down and somebody said, yo, fuck you. It's never happened. But you know what I mean? Like, there are pretty surreal things that happen in New York where you think it's just an evil person and it doesn't make sense. The Body Keeps the Score. That book really gave me a sense of empathy for other people. You never know what sort of life somebody has lived. And there are a lot of things that people are offended by or they feel very passionate about that might not make any sense to me personally. But if I take into account that I have no idea what their life is like, what I consider from my point of view like a grave misjudgment on their part, it's probably just the result of some sort of trauma that I am unaware of. And I'm a part of this huge family that is humanity, and I don't wish anything bad upon anyone. Maybe one person.
Don't get fired.
But
yeah.
yeah. But yeah, you never know what's going through people's minds. I try to sort of. I will always say what I think. I'll always speak in such a way that I am aware of what I'm saying and the repercussions. But if I feel something is wrong, if there's an injustice or anything like that, I think it's important that we speak up, especially as artists. I think it's our responsibility.
I agree.